So, you're standing in your kitchen, staring at a sourdough starter that actually looks decent for once, and you think, this is it. I'm going to quit my soul-sucking data entry job and open an artisanal bakery. You can already see the Instagram aesthetic, the flour-dusted apron, the minimalist font on the chalkboard, the local newspaper calling you a visionary. You've been told since kindergarten that if you do what you love, you'll never work a day in your life. It sounds like a Hallmark card, doesn't it? It sounds like the ultimate liberation from the grind. But here's the thing. While you're busy following your heart is leading you directly into a wood-fired oven of financial ruin. We've been sold a massive, romanticized lie. The follow your passion movement isn't a career strategy, it's a psychological trap that turns things you love into things you resent while systematically draining your net worth. We're going to look at the math today and prove that your hobby is actually a mathematically terrible foundation for a career. Why are we so obsessed with monetizing our joy? And how much is this passion costing you in lost stability and sanity? Let's get into the wreckage. The trap here is a masterpiece of modern manipulative marketing. It's called enthusiasm extraction. See, the economy doesn't actually care if you're fulfilled, it cares if you're useful. But since be useful and shut up is a hard sell in 2026, they rebranded it. They told you that your work should be your identity. It's a brilliant pivot. If your work is your passion, you'll work longer hours for less money because you love the mission. You aren't being exploited, you're being dedicated. You aren't burning out, you're grinding for your dreams. It's like being lured into a marathon by a guy who tells you the finish line is a giant pile of puppies, but when you get there, it's just a bill for the sneakers you wore out. We follow this advice because we're terrified of the boring 9-to-5. We see the influencers with their day in the life of a full-time potter videos, and we feel like we're failing because we're sitting in a cubicle. But the system loves the passionate potter. The potter is usually 3 months away from an eviction notice because they tried to turn a relaxing Sunday activity into a high-overhead business with zero market demand. We've replaced the job as a tool with job as a soulmate. And the problem with soulmates is that they eventually stop being fun and start demanding you pay the water bill. It's like trying to turn your favorite vacation spot into your permanent office. Eventually, the beach just becomes a place where your laptop gets sandy and you can't see the screen because of the glare. Anyway, back to the disaster. Let's talk about the monetization murder. See, the quickest way to kill a hobby is to give it a deadline and a demanding customer. When you bake bread for fun, it's a Zen experience. When you bake bread because you have to sell 40 loaves by 7 a.m. to pay the commercial lease, it's a high-stress manufacturing job with terrible margins. The passion myth relies on the talent equals business fallacy. The idea that being a great painter doesn't mean you're a great marketing director, accountant, and logistics manager, which are the 3 jobs you actually have to do when you follow your passion. I once knew a girl who loved interior design. She quit her corporate HR job to go full-time creative. She spent 80% of her time arguing with contractors about tile shipments and 20% of her time crying over spreadsheets. She wasn't designing souls. She was a glorified project manager who took a 60% pay cut for the privilege of being stressed in a prettier room. She's now 40, has no retirement savings, and she hates Pinterest. It's hilarious, in a your dreams are a lie kind of way. Let's look at the hidden math, because math is the only thing that doesn't get emotional about purpose. Let's look at scenario A. Passion Pete. Pete loves photography. He quits his $50,000 a year IT job to be a freelance wedding photographer. After taxes, equipment, insurance, and marketing, Pete clears $30,000 a year. He works every weekend, he's living his dream, but he can't afford a house and he hasn't put a dime into his 401k for 5 years. Now, let's look at scenario B, stable Stan. Stan hates his IT job. It's boring, but it pays $80,000 and has a 4% match. Stan works 9 to 5, goes home, and does photography on the weekends for free, just because he likes it. He spends $5,000 a year on the best cameras. In 10 years, Stan has a $200,000 net worth and a hobby he still loves. Pete has a broken camera, a credit card balance, and he hates weddings. The cost of Pete's passion wasn't just the lower salary, it was the opportunity cost of his most productive years.
If Pete wants to retire at the same age as Stan, he has to find a way to make his passion generate a 20% profit margin every single year for the next 30 years, which is statistically impossible in a saturated creative market. Pete didn't follow his dream, he followed a mathematical cliff. To illustrate how this plays out, let's look at Toby. Toby is the king of the side hustle to main hustle lie. Toby loved making wooden furniture in his garage. He had 500 followers on Instagram, so he thought he was the next big thing. He quit his job to open Toby's Timbers. But Toby quickly realized that people like liking photos of chairs a lot more than they like paying $1,200 for a chair. To stay afloat, Toby had to start making cheap flat-pack-style coffee tables that he hated. He became a low-rent IKEA with more sawdust and fewer meatballs. Toby is 35 and has the spinal health of an 80-year-old. He thinks he's authentic, but he's actually just a manual laborer who doesn't have workers' comp. Toby doesn't have a creative sanctuary. He has a dusty garage where he spends 14 hours a day making things he hates for people he doesn't like. He's a character in a tragedy where the protagonist is undone by his own desire to never work a day in his life. Toby is the poster child for the follow your passion lie, a man who turned his sanctuary into a sweatshop and lost both his income and his peace. We see this everywhere in the influencer trend. People spend their entire 20s trying to turn their vibe into a career. They spend thousands on cameras, clothes, and content trips, all while earning $0. They're convinced that if they just stay true to their passion, the brand deals will come. But the math of the attention economy is brutal. You're competing with 4 billion other people for a shrinking pool of ad revenue. It's a lottery ticket disguised as a career path. I'm an aspiring travel vlogger. No, Josh, you're a tourist with a selfie stick and a dwindling savings account. We've glamorized the hustle because we've been told that a stable job is a cage, but a cage with a salary is a lot more comfortable than a free life where you're constantly checking your bank balance before you buy groceries. So, what's the reality check? It's going to be a cold shower, but here it is. Keep your passion and your paycheck as far apart as possible. Your job should be a wealth extraction vehicle. It should be the most efficient way to turn your time into the maximum amount of money with the minimum amount of stress. Then use that money to fund the things you actually love. Real freedom is the ability to do your hobby without having to worry if it's marketable. Actionable career advice isn't about loving the work, it's about loving the life the work provides. The alternative is to embrace the high-margin pivot. Find a high-demand, boring skill that you're fine at, get paid a premium for it, and then go be a passionate bird watcher or a semi-professional kazoo player on the weekends. True self-actualization isn't found in a paycheck. It's found in the hours you own after the paycheck is earned. Think about the joy you feel when you do your hobby. Does it survive the pressure of a late payment? Does it survive the feedback of a customer who thinks you're overpriced? That passion glow is fragile, and the market is a sledgehammer. The world wants you to believe that if you're not passionate about your job, you're wasting your life. This is a lie designed to make you a more compliant, lower-paid worker. You can be a great person with a great life while having a job that is just fine. And it's a lot more enjoyable when you aren't trying to squeeze blood from a creative stone. The follow your passion myth is just consumerism with a self-growth filter. It's the idea that your inner self needs to be sold to be valid. If you want to actually enjoy your life, protect your hobbies from the market. Build the boring machine first so the machine can pay for the passion. The most authentic thing you can do is be the person who doesn't need their art to pay the rent. Don't trade your peace of mind for a cool job title and a story about chasing your dreams. Most people who chase their dreams eventually find out that dreams are surprisingly expensive and don't offer health insurance.